Arceus. Hello everybody, my name is Simple, and yeah, by the title of this video and by the thumbnail, you guys will know that this is a Pokemon Legends Arceus review. Now the thing is that, let me, if you can spare at least 5 minutes of your time, at least, and don't worry, I'll try to finish as fast as possible, but I want to tell you something. I actually did a review for it already. 2 videos, basically. One was my initial review, and the other one was going to be released the next day because on that day of recording, I just basically, kind of forgot some stuff to talk about. Mostly more positives and more explanations why I say that these are positives and negatives and stuff like that. But those 2 videos are just kind of messy, and while I did actually say my things already, I didn't have these 2 things. One, I didn't actually set like what I was expecting for the game, and third, I didn't really set on what I basically was kind of hoping for. And maybe it's the same thing, but I didn't put the thing that Pokemon Legends Arceus is basically a different type of game than other Pokemon games. So I was actually comparing the game to previous Pokemon games, and it was basically very unfair. So I want to do a redo of that. Basically, what that basically means, I spend at least 5 hours of editing and recording to basically just, you know, so yeah, sorry about that. It was just like some background noise. If you guys notice any background noise, I apologize for that. And before we actually get to the review any further, this whole review contains spoilers. For the visual aid, as you can see on the screen, it's just going to be the Nintendo trailer, basically both trailers of the game. That way, that even though it will show some spoilers, it won't be anything to do with how the in-game looks like. But I'm going to say some spoilers because they do support some positives or negatives. So if you want to dodge spoilers, come back to the video when you play the game. But if you are just here to want to know if I recommend the game, well, just strap in. Now let's talk about the story a little bit more. So yeah, I deleted those 2 videos. Those basically like 5+ hours of my life basically just deleted. I deleted them because I didn't feel like it was doing it justice. I didn't think I actually gave the game a fair chance. So I'm going to make it up for it, and I'm going to say what I do not like and what I do like, basically the positives and negatives, and I'll keep it short. And I'm only going to say the main positive things and the negative positive things. But let's basically talk to the story. How did I get the game in the first place? Well, I got it from Australia, pre-ordered it physically, and yeah, played it for 3 straight days. And by the time of this video, it's the 4th day, which I am going to basically. And here's the big shocker: I'm going to return the game. That's right, return the game. And luckily, I'll get a full refund so I can get the $60 back. But unfortunately, yeah, I had to return the game. There are actually a few reasons why, and to be honest, this review is just basically 1/3 of the reason why I'm actually going to return the game. So yeah. So basically, I played for 3 whole days and kind of ignored my college work, which I have a problem. Should have not done that. But it was a new game. I really do want to play it, and yeah. Let me give you my initial thoughts before you guys actually kind of leave because of that comment. I had fun playing the game. Yeah, that's true. I have fun playing the game, but it's not the fun that I want to do it again. It was fun, but I want to basically kind of don't want to come back to the game again. But how about we start with the positives now, shall we? Again, now this part of the review contains some spoilers, minor spoilers basically, but spoilers nonetheless, and forgive me for any background noises. This is, of course, maybe possibly my first time in review, but I'm basically doing this off script, so I don't have a script either way, so I'm just gonna put my voice out there and tell you guys my experience. First off, the positives. So basically what I'm going to say is, well, a bit iffy. First off, the story. The story, while it is very, very convoluted and kind of contradicts a lot of the Pokemon lore, for the most part, at least from my opinion, to be honest, it's a very good story. It's original. It's basically a breath of fresh air. I don't know why I cannot say that line, but yeah. What is the story about? Well, to be honest, I cannot tell you about that. But I think a lot of other people already kind of rated the gameplay. So basically, I'll give you the short summary of it. One day you wake up to the dark void, and basically you are greeted by the light that is Arceus. Basically, basically Arceus is going to send you basically to the past, but not until he upgrades your phone to the Arceus phone for some reason. Why is he doing this anyway? No reason. So basically, you come to the beach, you meet up with this professor who find you on the beach. So he teaches you how to catch the Pokemon. The starters basically run around, you catch them, bring them back to the village. You go to the village, you go inside the village main house, the center square of the village basically, and yeah, that's when your journey of being a researcher is done. And yeah, that's basically the story of it. Into the end, you basically, I'm not going to spoil the end to be honest, but later I will kind of spoil who's actually at the end, possibly, question mark, but that's for you to decide and you to find out. Story is pretty good, although there are some plot holes, like why is Arceus doing this for us, and yeah. Also, no, actually that's about it. That's the only good thing, that is original. And while it is not the best, we should actually remind ourselves that this is Game Freak's first ever new step of Pokemon, basically. This is Game Freak's new step to Pokemon, basically a much more quote-unquote free-roaming type of game where you can capture Pokemon and do some research. If they're gonna do more of this in future, I'm up for it. But yeah, again, the story is not the best, and they did contradict some stuff, but remember, this is Game Freak, and I think we know what they do most of the time, so yeah. Okay, on to the next positive. I think the next positive would actually be, well, the exploration. The exploration is actually the best, and for its visual and overall visual is actually pretty neat. The art style is pretty interesting as well, being a kind of a mix of modern-ish and traditional Japanese art style for the visuals, but I can't really say. It's kind of like very vague. And that's basically, it's just very pretty, to be honest. The visuals, well, to be honest, if compared to any other Pokemons, but just in Pokemon fans, it's just visuals. It's most likely just like the same visuals as Pokemon Sword and Shield, although just a tiny bit tad lower in quality, just a tad. They did fix a lot of stuff, like the trees and sometimes the grass, but everything else is kind of just like a downscale of it. Maybe it's just the art style and its direction that they're trying to get to, but honestly for me it does seem like a downgrade. Okay, let's go on to the possibly the last positive I have, from the last main positive. You can actually finally change your moves on the fly. Yeah, you can change your moves on the fly. Yes, you might have to pay money to actually do that, but at least you don't lose the move that you have your Pokemon learned. Any moves that your Pokemon learned, and if you replace them, will still be there in the move pool, which basically you can buy it and actually equip it back for that Pokemon to learn, and stuff like that. Basically, it was the one thing I was hoping Pokemon would do, and yeah, pretty happy they did it. So yeah. Now I know there's a lot of background noises, and I'm guessing at this point, if the recording, it's going to be pretty much busy here, so forgive me, but I'm almost done. But let's get to the negatives, shall we? Now this is the part where things get a bit dicey and might be a bit controversial for most people later in the future. And by the time of this recording, you might be noticing that my voice is actually lower than it is or maybe it was way low. I will basically tell you this, my voice isn't really this low always. It's just that right now it seems the place can be very busy and a little bit needs to be extra basically loud enough for you guys to hear me, and basically low enough so I don't disturb people. So I'm trying to find the middle range of this, but of course, forgive me for basically having my voice lowered. But now, let's get to the first thing, the battle system. Remember when Pokemon says it's a new battle system? It's not a new battle system. The only thing new about it is basically a new gimmick and basically a new transition. Well, it's a good thing that you fight on the overworld and not the mysterious new world that is the battlefield, basically. There's no transition to do that. It's actually a flawless transition and stuff like that. It's actually a very good breath of fresh air because, you know, less loading time to just load in the new world. It's just there on the open world. But here are my gripes about it. The battle system is exactly the same. The gimmick is basically pretty much useless because there's really no need to use these types of moves. Yes, they give you somewhat of a love for basically choosing which one to choose, but yeah, not really much difference to other moves. That is better if you just use your normal moves, at least for me, because I don't really use any of the different styles. I just, use the regular moves. If you guys are wondering, the styles is basically agility style and strong style. I prefer agility, but even then, it doesn't make a difference in battle. Kind of wish it does make more of a difference, but yeah. But is there any, redeemable factors of the battle mechanic? No, there's a few. One, you can move your trainer around. Unfortunately, the wild Pokemon does not attack your trainer while doing battle, even if you are standing in front of it, which is a missed opportunity. Why can't the wild Pokemon attack the trainer now in a Pokemon battle? Even the trainer can move. It's nature's greatest mysteries, I guess. But to be honest, the next good thing is basically the difficulty. The difficulty does actually spike, and sometimes it does spike to an unfair situation, but it is a nice change of difficulty, and this opinion might change later. But yeah, it does get too hard sometimes, but honestly, I think I appreciate the change. Just get ready to be at least 20 levels higher from my level 5 Pokemon that actually is enraged. Just be careful for that. Yeah. The other caveat I have for negative is basically the cutscenes itself. The cutscenes, here's the thing. The majority of the cutscenes are basically kind of more low budget. The characters don't really transition, like move to see a new character or stuff like that in the previous Pokemon games. The characters just sometimes just stand there and be either hard cut or just fade to black to the next scene, which basically kind of sometimes takes me out of the experience for the story. But the thing is, the one redeemable thing about these cutscenes is basically just the climactic cutscenes. The climactic cutscenes, the introduction of the ranged bosses and the final boss and the true final boss, to say the least. And possibly, yeah. When you fight bosses, the cutscenes are basically in its highest qualities. You can get the most beautiful cutscenes you will ever see in a Pokemon game. Okay, now let's get to another one, and this is just a little nitpick as well. There's no voice acting, which you would assume that this game would have voice acting, but no. The characters don't even do grunts or stuff like that. It's just quiet background music with the text box with the mouse moving, but it's just that. I know that other Pokemon games don't really do that as well, but to be honest, you think they would have at least some voice acting in this. I guess the only good thing about it is that Pikachu's cry is different in this game, but I kind of prefer Pikachu saying Pikachu rather than, just his regular noise. But it's actually a nice change of pace. So I kind of just enjoyed it. I'm kind of sad that other characters don't get voice acted. So yeah. Now let's talk about the last negative. The last negative is basically might be the most controversial thing I'll ever say. The music isn't that good. And I didn't mean, well, basically, I'm just gonna say this. It's not good, in a sense, it's bad. It's not good because it's harboring on something very, very easy. Something that only a remake of a game would do. And that is use old soundtracks, remix them, and use them in the game. Now, of course, this game takes place in the same takes place in the past, and also it is more related to Gen 4 than any other Pokemon game. However, even that, I feel like where should I start? Okay, let's start with the soundtracks I do like. The post-game soundtrack for Legendaries is the one I love the most. It might be a nostalgia trap basically, but honestly, it is the best remix of a past soundtrack that I ever heard. Basically, the best one, in my opinion. The Late Guardian seems to be a kind of more original soundtrack, and it's one of the best ones as well, but my second favorite, because the other one is nostalgia bait, to be honest, even though it's post game. The Late Guardian's really good. Let's see. The other ones is basically the wild area theme, which is good. And I think that's about it. No. Alternate form, Palkia and Daruga. I hope I'm saying those right. Like, alternate version theme. The alternate version of Daruga and Palkia theme is actually one of the best ones as well. Funny how the ugliest version of these Pokemon is actually have the best soundtrack, and the opposite the same, which let's go to the negatives. Original form Palkia and Daruga's theme. The worst. It's like boss music that never actually starts to do the boss music what's supposed to do. It's just like it's more like a boss music, but it's in a movie type of thing. And it's like this theme is more fit to a cutscene rather than battle, and this thing plays in battle. And I don't feel the need to battle. I'm just like get the feeling to just want to stand there and watch basically. So yeah, not that good. Arceus' theme? Well, besides Phase 3 of Arceus, which is actually pretty good, but I'm not going to spoil it, because Phase 3 is, even though it's not good enough to redeem the soundtrack, it is actually really good because it's actually interests me because of its uniqueness in terms of other Pokemon music in the past. Phase 1 and 2 is like the same problem with the original form of Palkia and Daruga. Slow, with just extra drums. If you don't believe me, it's just the original themes slowed down for a bit, and well, it's not for a bit, it's like it's slowed down with drums. That's all I could say. The trainer theme, well, I did like it at first. When you just hear it alone, it's not that good. It feels like it's a hodgepodge of just signature beats and notes from Gens 3, 4, and 5, which is not that good if I'm going to say anything. It doesn't feel right. The beginning sounds good. The middle sounds a hodgepodge of a mess. At least the end actually loops it back around good. So it's just the middle part that's actually very bad. And that kind of ruins it because it seems like nostalgia bait, more nostalgia bait, with just the single notes and stuff like that. The last one I do hate the soundtrack is basically the Warren and the Team Galactic theme. Those two basically use the two of those actually use the same theme, except for one thing. It feels like the soundtrack is basically a mix of sorts. It's like two soundtracks playing together, but they're trying to mix it to make it sound good. Spoiler warning, it does not sound good. I know other people did it better, and it's just this doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound great. There's nothing redeemable about it. Nothing about it is good. The beginning will be a total turn off, and everything else is, well, it's okay at best, but it's like below average to say the least. It kind of lost me in the beginning, to be honest, so I don't know what else to say. So yeah, that's all negatives. And these are my basically main positives and main negatives about the game. How would I rate the game? Well, personally, at a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it a 6. It is good, but underwhelming. I did have fun, but now we go to the main reason why I don't actually like the game, and why I basically am going to, and why I am returning it today by the time of this recording, and get the $60 back. If you didn't notice, after I'm done this recording, I will actually be gone and return this game to the nearest store to get a full refund. Luckily, the manager says that I can actually get a full refund on this, but yeah, let's get into the main reasons why. First reason why I want to return the game. It has a very slow start. It took me at least 6 hours to complete the tutorial. Now, why it took me 6 hours? Well, like any normal person, I want to explore everywhere, and I spent a few hours exploring for thinking that I was finished with the tutorial. Well, in fact, I wasn't finished with the tutorial. And when I got back to doing the tutorial around the 3-hour mark, every few 50 steps, or a few hundred steps basically, I get ambushed by a new tutorial over and over and over again. And that happened technically for another hour. So yeah. Normally, if you're actually doing this game without wasting your time exploring, you might actually finish the tutorial by around 3 hours. All of it. And then you'll be free to do your own exploring. But if you speedrun it and you don't explore, and you basically kind of just, brute force it, you might be finished the tutorial in under an hour. Most people say 30 minutes, but I think an hour is tops, basically. If you just do that, skip the dialogue, and basically just brute force your way through the tutorial, like the do-it-yourself tutorial, stuff like that. Yeah, just brute force it, you get an hour, that's it. So yeah, that's the only reason why, and it's very slow. By the time I actually finished the tutorial, I didn't really want to play the game more on that day. I just took a break and then I came back to it. Little did I know that basically doing that I was basically in for, oh god, it's just a headache. Because even though I didn't feel like it, I actually got back, but then I realized there was actually some smaller tutorials there. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I just don't want to talk about it anymore. The tutorial, very long. It's very important. All of its information is super important, and you need to learn it. It's just that I kind of wish the whole tutorial is just stayed in one area and not just outside at the field as well. Also, sometimes the characters will give you the tutorial twice. Why? Just because, in case you don't know. It might be a new mechanic, but if you get it the first time, and they will still do it again because, you might be forgetting it, or you're just dumb. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. Second reason why I want to return the game. Doesn't have cloud save. So basically, if I want to transfer my Switch data to the other side, to another Switch, and I want the online to be on that Switch as well. I cannot use cloud save to transfer the memory from the other Switch to the other Switch to my new Switch if I was going to. So yeah, cloud save is kind of very important, but honestly, it's without it, it's basically more a cumbersome thing, and you have to redo the whole game over again. Now, granted, you can basically transfer your save data by normal wireless connection because the Switch does kind of have that function as well without Nintendo Switch Online. But I like the cloud save just because of a feedback loop or something. Or not like feedback loop. What am I talking about? It's more to say like I was basically like a good thing that at least my data is saved on online rather than on the Switch, because in case of anything happens to the memory on the Switch, like if this game crashes or my save data is corrupt, at least I know that cloud save has saved my data on it. But it is what it is. Second thing, the lack of online stuff. There's not much to do for online other than trading. And while trading is a good thing, I kind of want to play with my friends, of course. Funny thing that the game says is 2 players, but the game's only 1 player only, so Nintendo kind of lied to me on that part too. So yeah, it's on their main site, but I think at this point in time they might have changed it to 1 player. So yeah, but at the time of this recording, it was basically a 2-player game, but it was not 2 players. So yeah. Also, it says that it doesn't have any online functions, but the only online function would be the trading system, so they kind of lied on that part too. Don't know what Nintendo was thinking, but yeah, I kind of returned the game because lack of online and no multiplayer for local co-op. So yeah, pretty sad to be honest. So basically, those are my reasons why I basically kind of just returned the game. And here's the thing. The game is basically Game Freak's first time into this new world of Pokemon. This is like the first time they actually did this type of game, and that's good. I do support them to actually do more games like this, but more possibly maybe polish up a few more things. At least now I know that the battle system won't be changing anytime soon, because it's still going to be the same, and it is going to be a bummer to know that it's still the same type of battle system. But yeah, I'm still going to support, and hopefully they can make it better, make the same type of game, but just maybe a bit better. The game does feel like it's basically out of its time. Like it should have been on some places like the Wii U. Basically, it feels like a Wii U game rather than a Switch game, to be honest. But yeah, that's about it. Do I recommend the game? Even though I gave it a 6 out of 10 before, yes, I will still recommend the game because it is actually a very fun game. If you just ignore the long waiting time, if you just ignore the long tutorial, I should say, if you just ignore the long tutorial and you basically ignore the loopholes of the story, and if you just ignore the laziness of that is the soundtrack kind of, then yeah, the game is pretty good, and the exploring the whole world of this region is basically on itself an experience on its own. It's very, very beautiful, and it's very expansive, not expensive, expansive, like big. But yeah, is there any other things that I want to say before I actually end the video? Well, there's one thing. Alpha Pokemon are actually the easiest things to beat, surprisingly. The bosses, you just need to throw Pocket Sand, and that's it. You can just throw Pocket Sand and you win. You don't need to battle the bosses. So yeah, that's basically my short-ish review, and I think I got everything I need to say about it. And yeah, so yeah, again, that is my review of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you like the game, and are you enjoying it, or are you going to try to return this game, or do you actually hate the game? Leave your comments down below and just let me know. Until then, I'm Sampo, and I hope you enjoy Pokemon Legends Arceus. And remember, don't let my review actually determine your choice to buy this game. You should make that choice your own. And if you disagree on my opinions, that's fine. But again, remember, this is my opinions and this is how I feel. I still would recommend the game, so go on and check it out. And to be honest, if the music was actually not that bad, at least to me, it would be a 7 out of 10, but right now 6 out of 10 because the music is just that. Every positive I have in this video is basically just, you know, just in the exception basically. It's mostly average. And most of the negatives are kind of average. I just think it's just the music and the lack of online stuff. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, again, I'm Sampo.